Alright, this is how you make a tough-ass thumbnail real quick. First, if you want to use a weapon, but personally I'm going to use a knife for this. So pick the main prop that you're going to have in it. Before we start, go into settings, scroll down a little bit, and you'll see hide user interface. Turn that on. Go video, stats, make sure they're all off. Go crosshair, disable, on, bang bang. Now pick your map. I'm going to do fracture for this one. Pick your mode. I'd recommend just go standard and then make sure cheats are on. And then attack or defender, doesn't really matter. Just queue it up. Next up, pretty important, pick your agent. I'm just going to go for a clove, because a lot of my clips are clove. And then you'll just load in, and the next part's pretty simple. One thing to keep wary of, I use GeForce Experience for this as it's the easiest. You can use the screenshot, the Windows Shift S, if you're highly skilled at it. It's a bit hard to get it. I'm sure Metal works or other clipping softwares, but what we're looking for right now is just getting a nice clean screenshot, because the screenshot is going to be what we use for the thumbnail. Go cheats, pause match timer, end game phase. You can go ghost mode to make it a bit quicker, but I'm just gonna run over, and I'm gonna use right here. So the idea is I'm gonna basically, because I've got GeForce the highlighting on, I'm just gonna stand where I want. I'm gonna keep my mouse really still so that I can do a double here, and I'm gonna inspect. Just do one inspect. Then, because this is just the style of thumbnail I like doing, I'm gonna go left. Make sure the mouse is in the same position. Other hand. Inspect. Bam. That's it. You can do a little bit of this action if you want to use one of those. Then I'm gonna do my GeForce Experience. Jiggle a little. Save. Once it's saved, you can safely just end the game. Mute the video because I don't want to listen to myself. Scroll over. And then just find what you're gonna want. So what do I usually use? I kind of like catching it in the flip. That's really good. Press the edit button. Go save photo. Save this frame. Bang. Just put it anywhere. I'm just gonna put it there. Then scroll over. Find my next frame. I might honestly use the stab for this one. Yeah, that's nice. And I'll just edit her head out. Edit her other hand out. Save frame. Bang. Save it. All right. And now we can get started. So, keeping in mind that YouTube compresses the shit out of thumbnails, I usually stick to 1280 720, but I keep the resolution pretty high, so that's high pixel. Just go white background, it's fine. The reason I don't do 1920 by 1080 is because YouTube isn't a fan. Originally I'd try and produce the thumbnails and export them at the highest quality, but YouTube just shits on them anyway. This still kind of keeps it at a shit quality, but it's so much better than it would be. I still don't understand how they fix the pixelies. If you know, let me know, because I'd love to have some really nice quality thumbnails. Put in your photos. We're gonna use this one, and then we'll use this one as well. And as you see, mouse didn't move, just like the smoke in the air, but that doesn't really matter. Delete this just for the sake of it. Name this one. Always name your shit. Just makes it a bit easier, so you don't mess it up. Plus, I'm probably gonna send the PSD to you guys anyway. The first thing you'll notice is the fact that it looks a bit dull. Yeah, the quality of the image is a bit, not nice. Don't worry about that. We're gonna fix all the contrast and shit later. Because the first step here is we gotta rasterize them both so we can edit them. And this bit's a bit finicky. It takes time, and so I'll probably just time lapse this unless I fuck it really bad. But you're basically just gonna cut out the hand and the knife, and then duplicate it to another layer so it's over the top, and you'll see why in a sec. All right. Done. We've got our extra layer. Bang bang. Look at that. Now you do want to go in and just make these absolutely minor changes, because yeah, just details count. As you saw, it was pretty rough because it doesn't have to be that clean, because we're not doing anything crazy with the background, and therefore it doesn't really affect it too badly. And so I'm gonna quickly go do the next one, and then on to the next part. Okay. So now it's just kind of these little minor checkups because we want to make sure it works. So one of the issues with this is keeping that around it, the kind of opaque effect, is a bit difficult. And technically all I need to remove here is this hand. And so all I'm going to do is literally chop it out. Oh, be a bit careful there. Chop it out super closely. That way I can then take both the backgrounds, merge them together, and then put it below the hands. Because now we've got separate hands that we can use to do some minor touch-ups and edits. What I like to do before anything else is fix the contrast and the brightness. And so I'm going to go to filters, camera raw filter, and I quite literally just touch the exposure up. I'll touch it up. I'll just kind of twiddle with these until I find a nice, decent color that I'm looking for, which is usually just a bit darker. As you see, it just adds a little more. Yeah, it's just so much brighter and nicer. I'll go to the effects. I'll add a bit of texture, clarity, dehaze maybe, color. I'll tint it based on the color palette we kind of have here. And so we've got a lot of greens and the sky is blue. And so I'll literally just go green, blue, up the vibrance a bit, but then desaturate it. And like it just kind of, it makes it pop a little bit more. You see, like already we have a nicer thumbnail. But then the crazy bit is we quite literally then blur it. So we just take the Gaussian blur and we just put it down to about, I feel like 0.8 usually works, because you just want it blurry a bit. Then we've got the two hands here, which we're going to keep separate for a sec, because what we're going to do first is my little touch that you'll see in the thumbnail I'm going to pop up, which is if you duplicate it, double click on the side of one of them, and then go color overlay. I'll put it on white. If you have that one below, you go Control T, and then up arrow, left arrow, or whichever direction you want it to be. I'll probably put it, yeah, I reckon that's nice, right about there. And I'll do it for the other hand. And then, like, you see, it's got this nice, like, I don't even know what you call it, but I like it. Adds a nice effect to it. And so now you can Command E them, which merges the layers. Command E them, merging the layers. Because then the last thing you're going to do is one more behind it. So we're going to go Filter, Blur, Motion Blur, and then kind of just dabble with it until you find a nice position. I'm going to put it, because if I go too low, it kind of, it like holds the weight too much. And so I'm going to go higher, put it about 89. Put that there, but then lower the opacity, take out my what's it called, my eraser, lower the hardness, put it really nice and high, and it's kind of touch at the edges to make it around the arm. I want it to be gone because I like what it looks like up there. Touch again, go for the layer below it, filter, blur, motion, same thing. This one actually works a lot nicer. Lower the opacity a bit, and we've got this, like, again, this nice little effect going on. So now that we've got this nice base, you kind of, if there's anything you want to add, go ahead and add that. In my case, I'm just going to add the immortal body like I usually do. Put it in the same corner. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rasterize, Command T, perspective, push back, push down, push up, and we've got this nice, almost like it's like flipping around effect. Then of course, like the knives, I'm going to put that overlay under it up a bit, have a nice presence above it. What we're seeing here is there's a bit of an opacity issue, and so if I Command J a couple times of the top layer, so I'm just duplicating it, so it's the same opaque layer over and over again, which obviously decreases that that issue. And so we have that nice little thing going on there. And so now we can work towards the coloring. And so the first thing you want to do is you want to decide what colors you're going to go for. This one's a lot of greens and blues, and so honestly I might dabble with the immortal badge here just to see. One thing that's kind of fun is you hook a hue and saturation, and then you kind of mess with it until you get something that you feel like would sit nicely in the environment. So I'll desaturate, keep that nice. Try and match a green here. See that green is close enough, so we'll leave that. Kind of just a cool little effect that I like to do every once in a while. Command E those, put them all together, bang. We've got all our things ready. And so now we add the particles. I'll add this one to the Google Drive just because it's like the highest quality one. Pop it on top. You're going to want to go to screen or linear dodge. I usually go with screen, and then you're going to go hue and saturation again, hook it on top, and then shift the color of the particles to what you're wanting. In this case, I'll keep the lightness the same because of the fact that it's a screened element. And then saturation, just kind of play with it until you get a nice one you're looking for. Then Command E those together to make sure they're the same. Again, make sure it's screened. And so then we've got this nice, again, a nicer base to work with. Now the final little touches that I usually go for is, I'm just going to Command G a bunch of my folders so I know what's what. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do an empty layer. Oh, to be fair, I'm just going to put it actually just below. And so then choose a color. In this case, there's a lot of greens, and so let's stick to that. Let's get a nice top green. And then make sure you've got hardness all the way at 0, and then choose the size you want, and just kind of push a little bit around, just like bang. Big one over here, even bigger one in the corner. Put one on, I'm going to put one on under here. And then we're going to go to linear dodge add, and then lower the opacity so it's not as like aggressive. And then I want to add some nice white hues, especially around the corners here. Have those nice and bright. And then I'll have one on the blade here. We're going to lower that, linear dodge add it, lower even more. So it has like that kind of just a nice glow effect to it. And trust the process. You got to trust the process because it looks like a bunch of cluttered shit for now. But then we're gonna really clean it all together. Finally, we're gonna do some highlighting. I tend to forget to do in a lot of mine, which is just like we're gonna follow this corner that we've been using this whole time. Try and keep it off the fingers for now. Perfect. Again, missed it, linear dodge, and then lower the shit out of it because it's just supposed to be a nice glow. We don't want it to like overcompensate for anything because we still want that nice white line to be the main thing. And so now we have majority of our shit ready. And so what we're going to do is we're going to group the entire thing, we're going to duplicate it, and then we're going to merge it all. And so now we have an entire layer. And then we're going to keep that. This is our safety net, is what I'm going to call it, because my favorite part is the camera raw filter. So this is where we go crazy. This is where we add all those things that make it look nice. And so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to up the exposure and contrast. Actually, I'm going to lower the exposure for this one because this one's pretty fucking bright. Highlights up, shadows down, whites up, blacks a little bit down. So you kind of just like eyeball it to what makes it look nicer, you know what I mean? Color, again, remember, blues and greens. We want that nice contrasting color to it. I'm going to keep it a little desaturated because I think it's going a bit too far. I like to vignette the corners just a bit because it adds that almost like cinematic effect. Dehaze slightly because it adds a nice puff. Clarity, keep that up. Detail, keep it. Texture, sorry, keep it up. I'm not going to go into any of these. It's just a bit too far of detail for just a thumbnail. We're going to press OK, and we're going to see, wow, look how much nicer that is. We've got edited raw. Command J it again, and we're going to go straight back in here because this is where you can take advantage of YouTube's thumbnail comparison model, which I like to do because I can never choose which preset I like better. Go into presets, scroll down specifically to creative, and then just look over them until you find one that has a nice feel to it, one that you like. So for me, I'm a big fan of warm contrast. So we're going to have for this one, this is warm contrast, but I want to go back and look at some others. So we're going to go back in, camera off filter, bang, look down. I think I liked the red lift matte, but I'm just going to scroll down a little bit further just to double check. Yep, so it's just going to come down to these two, red lift matte. And so now we've got our two final pieces. Again, just to clean up, I'm going to group these. And so now just for the very, very final touches, we'll start with the one on the top, duplicate it, top layer, go filter, blur, Gaussian, 0.8 or 1, you kind of choose. I'm going to go for 1 just to make it a heavier effect. Take the eraser, make sure the hardness is low, and then touch parts of the important things, like this, like that. And you see how it kind of has this nice cinematic effect? Like, I don't know what to call it, I just think that like it works really well for a thumbnail. And so now you kind of have this nice, like almost magnifying effect. A final thing you can do if you really want to, I'm just going to duplicate again just so we have the safe one. This is now the blurred copy, Command E. Another thing you can go is you can Command J one more time, and then remove one of the channels. And then if you move it slightly, you can make it have this really cool like distorted effect. I don't know, it just looks cool. So this is the blur, this is the distort blur, and so obviously there's no blur, there's no distortifier, get rid of that. And so this guy's all done. This is warm contrast. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for this guy. Bang, look at that. And it's got nice shines to it, like everything's just coming together. See what I mean? You just got to trust the process. Command J, Command E, Command J, double click. I'll remove the G this time just to show you that you can do other variants as well. That one kind of, I feel like this one kind of matches a bit better, so you can see it better. So that we've got that. So this is the distort blur. Oh, that's some terrible spelling. I'll fix that when I give it to you guys. This is the blur, and that's the red lift matte. And so bang, Command G, red lift matte. We now have our final variants. And so that's kind of it. And then export, I usually just go export as PNG, transparency, 720. It's 1.1, which means it will give it. And this should help give it a nice quality because of the way that YouTube fucks with your quality. But it still is blurry. Like if you check my channel, my thumbnails are still blurry. And I don't know how to fix that. But I know how to make a nice ass thumbnail for now. So I hope that helps. I hope that this was kept short. Anyway, make sure to subscribe because that would be incredible. And I'll make another one for guns because it's a bit different, but it's kind of the same. Yeah, cool. See you later.